What's up, guys? It's Jason here, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Money Insight. It's always nice to be wealthy and fabulous, or is it more accurate to say that most things are probably fabulous for the wealthy? Most of us, including myself, wouldn't know because the top 1% is a very thin slice of society. But my guess is that it's not too painful or lonely at the top. However, according to several reports released for 2021, including Swiss bank Julius Bär, what it means to be at the top and where that top 1% are located changes constantly. Shanghai has now taken the #1 spot as the world's most expensive city, replacing Hong Kong as the city that does the most damage to your wallet. Interestingly, while COVID-19 originated in China, the region's relatively fast recovery from the virus is one factor in Asian cities becoming more expensive as the rest of the world lags. Regardless of Asian cities coming out ahead, some trends among the wealthy worldwide are likely here to stay. But first, you know where I'm going with this, right? A small favor. If you wouldn't mind just tapping that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I would greatly appreciate it. The more engagement a video like this gets, the more likely the YouTube algorithm is to push it out to more people to enjoy. And as this is a brand new channel I started this year, it helps me out a ton and it's free to do. If you love having more money in your bank account, be sure to hit subscribe and click that notification bell for new videos each week. Thanks for doing that. And now let's continue on with what does it mean to be wealthy in 2021 and the life of the wealthy in 2021. Conscientious consumer habits. Prior to the onset of COVID-19 in late winter and early spring of 2020, consumers who could afford to worldwide were already beginning to think about the food that they put into their bodies. The International Food Information Council's IFIC 2020 Food and Health Survey, for instance, reported that about 60% of respondents cooked more at home and a quarter were more thoughtful and curious about food. About 20% ate healthier than usual. Undoubtedly, a lot of this can be attributed to the impact of COVID-19 lockdowns. High-income individuals who would typically dine out often for work or enjoyment found themselves largely stationary along with the rest of the world during the height of COVID-19. Not shockingly, high-income countries such as the United States and Switzerland saw organic food sales increase by about 10% during COVID-19. Healthy eating habits that could get expensive and were once the purview of celebrities and C-level executives have become somewhat less expensive. This is partially due to the fact that COVID-19 has made the logistics of importing and exporting many products, including food, a bit of a nightmare. That logistical crunch has allowed once reluctant food companies to embrace a more farm-to-table approach once seen mostly in high-end restaurants. Ethical food choices that are also more expensive, such as free-range eggs, for example, were up 15.2% in the UK, with plant-based products having risen 11.4%. Those individual choices reflect a broader transition to more organic and fair trade foods, with almost a third of surveyed shoppers expressing the intent to continue buying similar foods. The fact that COVID-19 originated from unsanitary conditions in a wet market also forced many farms to rethink how they maintain and slaughter animals. The rapid spread of COVID-19 spotlighted the zoonotic, or animal-to-human transmission of many viruses, increasing, if possibly temporary, interest in more plant-based diets, as well as complete vegetarianism and veganism. The appeal of plant-based meat substitutes is demonstrated by its 264% growth, with even the fast food giant McDonald's offering the McPlant, a Beyond Meat patty. Overall, conscientious consumerism has even impacted categories of luxurious spending. In 2020, luxury items that were measured in terms of cost, including wedding banquets, Botox, and personal trainers. In 2021, they were replaced with technology packages that ensured connectivity to others, especially for business essential reasons, in addition to treadmills and bikes. It seems that COVID-19 became an equalizer of sorts. Wealthy people's more selective eating habits trickled down to the less affluent. Items that are considered more everyday, such as treadmills and bikes, became luxury items as the wealthy purchased and popularized upscale versions and also paid more to have them if they happened to be millionaires or billionaires in Asia. A new type of conspicuous consumption. In the 1980s especially, flaunting what you had was all the rage. These days, a new sort of conspicuous consumption is on the rise. COVID-19 only exacerbated this new trend of environmental, social, and governance (ESG) practices that make a company more fashionable and attractive to consumers if it ticks off certain boxes. They can include ethical and transparent supply chains, paying a fair wage to adult laborers with rights, and diverse and inclusive workforces that allow as many people as possible to thrive and become economically independent. While sweatshop labor is cheap and still utilized in many parts of the world, for deep-pocketed consumers who want to do good, it's a no-go. Corporations and smaller businesses alike are adopting accordingly. Inditex is one of the best large-scale examples of fast fashion adopting the ESG model to appeal to ethically motivated customers. While Inditex itself is not a well-known household name, it does own Zara, which has become the epitome of fast fashion, alongside competitors like H&M and Forever 21. Inditex is a trailblazer in the fast fashion industry because it enforces strict environmental, social, and health guidelines for all of its factories, many of which it owns outright. Unlike many other competitors that outsource production to faraway, lower-income economies, many of its factories are close to its headquarters, which reduces transportation costs and carbon emissions. This means higher profit margins for Inditex and better feelings of goodwill from customers. Besides being good for the world, it's good for the company itself and customers who care about how their clothes are made and at what cost to the environment. Investment advisors who cater to the world's well-to-do are also trying to cater to their ethics when investing. Companies that epitomize ESG policies, such as AstraZeneca, also tend to do well because they offer solid returns and lower risk. The Anglo-Swedish pharmaceutical company focuses on gender equality, especially in its management, and proverbially puts its money where its mouth is, by educating young people through the Young Health Program, YHP, about diseases that can be attributed to habits that people typically take on when they're young, such as smoking. The legitimacy and efficacy of the program is reflected in the fact that UNICEF even partnered with it. Most noteworthy: Shanghai, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. Of all the trends amongst the wealthy, the fact that Shanghai, Tokyo, and Hong Kong are the top 3 most expensive cities in the world to be wealthy is most notable. It heralds the transition from the concentration of wealth from the US, Europe, and Canada to Asia. Some of the things that we take for granted as affordable as an upper-middle-class person demand a premium in Shanghai, for example. Most notably, treadmills, cars, and lawyers are much more expensive in the Chinese metropolis. So much so that even a higher-end treadmill in Shanghai could cost up to $20,000 more. That premium is not offset by the slightly less expensive price of women's handbags and shoes in Shanghai. The cost of luxury goods are more expensive in Shanghai than elsewhere in the world because China's purchasing power rises much higher than its rate of inflation. This is on top of the fact that luxury goods like Cartier and Chanel increase their prices annually or biannually, regardless of economic conditions, simply to make their brand and goods more exclusive and appealing to the top 1%. Shanghai can be thought of as Hong Kong in its heyday, prior to its handover to China in 1997. Shanghai actually replaced the former British colony as the #1 most expensive city in the world, and the parallels are startling. Both are often thought of as East meets West locations that are cosmopolitan and wealthy, primarily due to their strategic trading locations and entrepreneurial spirit. This has played out in Shanghai having about 160,000 millionaires and 20 billionaires, while 1 in 7 people in Hong Kong are millionaires. Despite those similarities, for anyone who's paid attention to international current events in the past year, it shouldn't be surprising that Hong Kong has dropped to 3rd place, with Shanghai and Tokyo ahead. Hong Kong was rocked by protests all year long, an iron fist from China, and what's suspected to be the beginning of brain drain as professionals who value democracy leave the city for the United Kingdom and Australia. Compared to their counterparts in Shanghai, Hong Kongers spent less than half their amount on high-end goods in the following year, possibly because Hong Kongers have experienced wealth for longer than their mainland Chinese counterparts. What attracts each demographic also differs. Wealthy Hong Kongers prioritize quality over brand names, while understated designs are very appealing. While retaining 3rd place in the survey, Hong Kong may also have reached the saturation point, with even wealthy consumers becoming tired of paying more for services such as smart restaurants and business-class flights. The decline in luxury good consumption may be one reflection of that. East of Hong Kong and China, Tokyo is almost as expensive as Shanghai. For anyone who's ever visited Tokyo or any major city in Japan, that should be par for the course. Japan is anything but cheap, with the Julius Bär report confirming that almost 2/3 of the items ranked in its list of expensive items are more costly in Tokyo than anywhere else. Fine dining saw a 28% increase in 2020, while luxury watches and jewelry also increased by 10%, possibly reflecting the work-home trend that took the world by storm because of COVID. Women's shoes were down 14%, while hotel suites were down 27%. With no offices or social functions to go to and little to no recreational and business travel, it's no wonder that both were down. It also makes sense then that the luxury residential market in Tokyo remained popular as wealthy Japanese and overseas investors looked for safe havens for their money. The temporary stagnant Japanese market is still projected to grow. Currently at $27.4 billion, it's predicted to grow to $36.2 billion 5 years from now, indicating further analyst confidence in the growth of Asia. Further trends. Across the board in Asia and most of the world, the cost of bicycles increased as most experienced quarantine, regardless of socioeconomic status. As public transportation closed down and many venues closed, the wealthy around the world apparently took to biking to stay sane like the rest of us. Luxury residential properties throughout the region saw strong demand as well, buoyed by a general interest in safe investments like real estate during the uncertainty of COVID-19. This was reflected in mid-tier economies like Taiwan, where luxury residential properties are still more expensive than the international average, partially because of limited supply amidst many Taiwanese formerly living abroad returning to the country because of COVID-19. Even developing economies like the Philippines saw a 9% increase in property prices, with locals paying 64% more for business flights and cars than the former year. The wealthy in Europe, the Middle East, and the Americas were not immune to rising prices as well. 2020 saw Europe face price increases that were due primarily to currency changes, making it stronger against the US dollar. Europe's wealthy has taken the time out that COVID-19 has forced on most of us to rethink what luxury means. Wealth advisors have seen that pre-COVID trends toward conscious rather than conspicuous consumption has only been accelerated during COVID. Due to COVID-19, 2020 has also brought on the rise of more succession planning and collective focuses on health and family. COVID-19 seems to have reminded the wealthy that anything can happen, and to preserve their wealth for future generations, they may need to plan for the future. And that brings us to today. In North America, even cities like New York took a hit, along with Latin America, including in the luxury goods market. With Miami and New York City's fortunes largely dependent on tourism, including for business, both economies took a hit, with even designer shoe prices falling 23%, fine dining falling 26%, and hotel suites falling 33% in Miami alone. Miami's luxury market continued to attract the local wealthy, with the best-in-class residential property growing by 6.1% in 2020. New York City, in contrast, took a nosedive. It sank to its lowest level in the past 3 decades, while upscale communities outside New York City, such as Montauk and the Hamptons, saw a substantial increase. While appearing counterintuitive given lockdowns, New York City still remained the most expensive place to book a hotel stay, and even in 2020, its prices increased by 38%. It may be testament to the fact that New York City remains a top business and leisure destination, even with COVID-19. While the Big Apple may continue to be important in the years to come, it still needs to contend with the rise of Asian cities and the demands of more Asian millionaires and billionaires. With a post-COVID future on the horizon, it remains to be seen which of the two regions will come out on top. Your guess is as good as mine. So with that said, thank you so much for watching my video. There was a significant amount of research and production that went into making this video possible. As this is a brand new YouTube channel I just started this year, if you enjoy videos like this, please click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. If you haven't already seen, check out my video on Warren Buffett's secrets to success in 2021 and the rise and fall of Jack Ma, China's richest billionaire gone missing. As always, stay happy and healthy, and stay tuned for another episode of Company Insight next week.